Welcome, everyone. My name's David Bowders. I'm the CEO of Hounds, and I'm here today talking with Shannon Tymosko. Welcome, Shannon.
Thank you so much for having me here today, David. I'm honored to be here and to share some thoughts with the audience.
Yeah. So I know you are an apprentice electrician. Tell me a little bit about when you started, what drew you into the trade.
So it is really actually my second career. Like so many people, I followed the traditional route of going to school, going to get that education. So I went for child and youth work, something that I was passionate about. But, after my education and working, I really found it wasn't a field that allowed you to thrive, just survive. I wanted more. I wanted to buy a house. I wanted to have wants. And so I was looking for something different, a career change. And at the time, my best friend Matthew, he purchased a home. Neither of us tradespeople. He was a bus driver, and I, at the time, child and youth work / business person. And he wanted to do some renovations, and so we kind of took them on with the help of YouTube and Googles of the world. We did the kitchen, 2 bathrooms, some mudding, some drywing, a little bit of electrical. But in that process, I really realized I enjoyed this. And it started my journey of searching out a new career change. So that's what brought me to the trades. How I picked electrical was a bit of a default. I know I needed something for my resume to help out to get into the industry. And so I looked out different programs. I found what they call a pre-apprenticeship program to help get women into the trades, do that transition. I applied, and it's led me to where I am now.
I know that you are a member of the local IBEW. You want to talk a little bit about that experience?
Yeah, so I'm unionized through the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers. That's a North American-wide union, so it's nice. I came here, for example, and Stephen's part of my union. So very quickly, I have what we call like a brother, right? Even though it's a different country. And so the union's nice because I really get the opportunity to try different experiences, work in different sectors, and kind of expand my trade. Electrical is a really big industry, and I find a lot of people sometimes get stuck in one sector. But the union allows you, with different jobs to really expand on the electrical field. And my experience thus far, funny enough, my first job, as we sit here in the Grand Hyatt, is that how you say it? Was a hotel. Okay. And so I spent 2 years in a lot of bedrooms, bathrooms, and suites. But it gave me my start and led me to where I am today.
So I know there's not a very high percentage of electricians who are women. Can you talk a little bit about being a woman in the electrical field, and what are some of the challenges? What are some of the keys to success that you found?
Women are growing in numbers, but we are certainly still a minority in the trade in any construction field. I think in our union we have about 1,800 members, and probably about 20 women. But again, growing. You can see that number year after year has been increasing. Some of my experience as a woman, it can certainly sometimes feel a little lonely being on a construction site when you really are the only woman. And, as much as we deserve equality, men and women are different. And there's sometimes that I can't connect with the men on women topics. So it can certainly feel a little lonely. But I really enjoy, one of the things I've been seeing growing is the online communities through social media, Instagram. There's groups and organizations, for example, one in Ontario and growing North American wide is called Women on Site. And it allows us to connect with other women in the trades, tell our stories, get some support, have some laughs, and get that little missing piece that you might feel like you're missing on a construction site. But overall, I've been received well. I find people ask me about how men might treat you, and I'm finding that the men that have children or grandchildren that are daughters, they're kind of excited to see a woman on the construction site because they have their own children, their own daughters. Sometimes it's the younger ones that haven't had that opportunity to have children, or that give me a little bit of a tougher time, right? They want to see that I can do the job. But overall, it's been a good experience.
It's so interesting because I know with this new generation, there's quite a gap right now in just the sheer number of electricians, and really have to be looking for, expanding the talent pool in order to meet those shortfalls. And I think right now we're starting to see that people have to abandon some of the old rigid ways of thinking about things.
100%. And I think a bigger issue. People talk about, there's not going to be enough tradespeople. But one of the things that is being lost is the knowledge. For example, electrical, it's an industry that's constantly changing. Every year there's something new. But those electricians that have been around for 30, 40 years, they've seen things that I'll never see in my career. Knob and tube, right? That's kind of a thing of the past. And so I think we're going to not just lose tradesmen as they retire, but we're going to be losing a lot of knowledge. And if we don't take care and ensure that we pass on that knowledge with new people, we could see a shortage in different ways. And so it's certainly, we need to get more young people interested, more young people involved.
I know there's a lot of innovation, obviously, in the electrical industry around electrification, around green, around all of the data centers, and just a huge amount of new product development. I think with a new generation of workers, it's important to be able to disseminate how to use these new innovative products, because for a manufacturer who invests so much money in creating these products, it doesn't really unlock any of the value until people are aware of it and start using it. So talk about how social, like Trade Hounds, for example, can help to help the new folks in the trades be aware of it, and anyone really for that matter, be aware of all the great new products that are being presented in the marketplace.
So I think social media is a great place to connect people with those different technologies. You're used to what you've got at home, and you're used to the norm. And so it does take somebody else to introduce you, or even going to a hotel or going to somewhere else, you start seeing new gadgets that you've never seen before. And it's funny, it's, even as electricians, even as a senior, like I'm not a senior, but even my journey people, it's funny how often they have to pull out the manuals of these new things, because they've never seen them. A light switch is pretty familiar, but these new advanced Bluetooth gadgets, fire alarm systems, as they change, our journey people are having to pull out the manuals, having to go to Google themselves to research that new product. But the more we get out there and show them on social media platforms, the cool, the cool features of each of these, the more people might be interested to go out and buy them. And not just like your electricians, but your consumers. I think that's a big place that we're missing, is that we're trying to reach contractors. What about the consumers? What about, the people who
make
might
the buying decision?
Yeah.
The ultimate buyer.
They're not going to go buy things in bulk, but they're going to go in, they're going to upgrade things slowly in their house. And so we really need to start introducing the consumer, not just the contractor, with these products, because they're the purchaser.
So as you're a relatively new entrant as an electrician in the workforce, can you talk about the types of content that resonate with you? I know there's been a general shift generationally away from what I'd call corporate content in favor of what I'd call more peer-to-peer content. Can you talk a little bit about how peer content is changing the way people learn about things?
Well, I think people really enjoy authenticity, real connections with people. You go to websites, and the website has a little box at the bottom that says contact us. But it's a disconnect. It's not, you're not connecting with the people. And so social media, whether it's Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, it allows you to not only connect with people, but see their face, and make those real life connections. And I think young people, we've talked a little bit before about wanting to have faith in a company. Mm-hmm. The truth is, as technology increases, so do scams, right? And so as a consumer, you're always a little cautious about maybe the next scam that might be coming your way, and having that social media face or
trust.
Platform, it creates a bit of trust, and it allows consumers to have that buy-in.
So let's talk a little bit about how you get the materials that you need to do your job on a daily basis. You talk about who sells you most of those materials? Are you buying it on e-commerce sites? Tell us a little bit about how you get material to do your job.
I feel like as an apprentice, this is not normally my typical job. So if I'm working on a construction site,
maybe just
there's levels of operation.
Or maybe just tell us about how other people in your company, who are, non-apprentices, can. Well,
I was going to say, as a personal consumer, currently, my boyfriend, he's purchased a home, and so we're doing home renovations. So In bulk, I can't quite comment on, but as a personal consumer going out and making those purchases, like everybody, you go to your first search engine, Google, and you start your search. You put in the product, and you start looking. One of my biggest frustrations is when it comes to those websites that they
Supply houses.
Supply houses. We have I don't know what's the need. I'm from Canada, so some of the manufacturers, distributors might be a little bit different. We do have, specifically electrical distributors. And I find that those websites are not as user friendly. They don't have prices. They have that contact us button, for pricing, which again, as soon as you see that, it's a deterrent as a consumer. I tend to go to those websites, and it's sad to say, like a Home Depot, and make my decisions based on that price. Now
Easier.
It's just easier. And so until you establish a relationship with a contractor or distributor, you might have somebody on email. Those easy, user-friendly websites sadly get most of our business, our attention.
How many distributors, meaning other than companies like Home Depot, which is sort of a hybrid, how many distributors do you typically buy from?
I think I've seen, because I can comment on the boxes that come into our site, right? So as an apprentice, I'm often the person putting away, which happens to be one of my favorite jobs because it really helps me get familiar with the products for that job. And so I've seen Humble come in, I've seen Westmount come in, I've seen Geary Electric come in. So that's just 3 off the top of my mind. I imagine there's more, but those tend to be like the go-to for big projects.
And who's typically ordering them from your company?
I would assume that the apprentice puts the request into the journeyman then goes to the foreman, and then the foreman puts it to the project manager, and the project manager looks at his budget and makes a decision. And
There's a chain of command.
There certainly is a chain of command. They have budgets and all that stuff to meet. They have to look at the numbers. And one of the things I found actually interesting, one of my first construction site was one of the purchases that we made. We bought some conduit. And the conduit happened to be made in China. And the gentleman, as it was my first site, were commenting that it was more difficult to work with. When you bent it, it kinked. When you tried to pull wire through it, it got caught. And so quality of material is really important as well. I think we learned in that experience, because the next bundle of conduit we bought was American made, and we didn't have any of these problems. And so quality matters. And taking that cheap road doesn't always pay off, and time is money. And so, having an electrician having to look at the same situation over and over again instead of doing it the first time is a cost that should be considered.
Well, Shannon, I want to thank you for taking the time. We're excited about your pending career and look forward to all the great things to come.
Thank you very much for chatting with me, and I'm happy to be here with Trade Hounds and
thank you.
Share my experience.
Thank you.
Oh.